Chapter 4, Section 7 of Cup of Gold. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Read by Kurt from Tucson, Arizona. Cup of Gold by John Steinbeck. Henry Morgan stood in the doorway of the Hall of Audience and watched a little troop of Spaniards ride through the streets toward the palace. The troop was surrounded on all sides by a mob of buccaneers. First in the line came the messenger, but a changed messenger. Now he was dressed in scarlet silk. The plume of his hat and his sword's scabbard were white in token of peace. Behind him rode 6 soldiers in silver breastplates and the Spanish helmets which looked like half mustard seeds. The last soldier led a riderless white mare with crimson trappings and a line of golden bells on its browband. The white saddlecloth nearly touched the ground. Following the mare were 6 mules bearing heavy leathern bags, and the group was rear-guarded by 6 more soldiers. The cavalcade drew up before the palace. The messenger leaped from his horse and bowed to Henry Morgan. "I have here the ransom," he said. He looked worried and tired. The weight of his mission was riding heavily on his spirit. At his command the soldiers carried the leather bags into the Hall of Audience, and only when they were all deposited with the rest of the treasure did the anxiety leave his face. "Ah," he said, "it is good. It is the treasure. 20,000 pieces of 8, not one lost by the wayside. I invite you to count them, Signor." He whipped a little dust from his foot. "If my men could have refreshments, Signor, wine," he suggested. "Yes, yes," Henry motioned to one of his followers. "See that these men have food and drink. Be courteous, as you love life." Then he went to the bags to count the ransom. He made little towers of shining coins and moved the towers about on the floor. Money was bright, he thought. It could have been cut in no more charming shape either. A square would not answer, nor an ellipse, and money was really worth more than money. He tumbled a tower and built it up again. It was so extremely certain. Money. One knew beforehand what it would do if set in motion. At least, he knew up to a certain point. Beyond that point, it did not matter what it accomplished. One might buy wine with the money. One had the wine, and if the merchant's clerk should kill his master for the same coins, it was unfortunate. It was perhaps fate, or something like that, but one had his wine just the same. And all this pile of golden vessels, these crosses and candlesticks and pearl vestments, would be money like this. These bars of gold and silver would be cut into round flakes, and each flake stamped with a picture. The picture would be more than a picture. Like the kiss of a saint, it would endow the flake with power. The picture would give it a character and a curious, compelling soul. He flung the coins into a heap, and patiently set about to rebuild them. Enough towers for Jerusalem. Now Isabel came from the patio and stood beside him. "What an amount of money," she said. "Is that my ransom?" "Yes, it is the gold which purchases you." "But what a very great deal. Am I worth that much, do you think?" "To your husband you are. He paid it for you." He moved 10 towers into a line. "And to you, how much? How many of these golden chips?" "You must have been worth that much to me." I stated the price. "Wouldn't they skip well on the water?" she said. "How they would skip! Do you know I can throw like a boy with my arm bent?" "It was said you were capable," he announced. "But am I really worth that much?" "The money is here, and you are to go. It has bought you. A thing must be worth what is paid for it, or there could be no trade." "It is good," she said. "It is comforting to know one's value to a real. Have you any idea of your worth, Captain?" Henry Morgan said, "If I were ever captured and a ransom demanded for me, I would not be worth a copper penny. These dogs of mine would laugh and shrug. A new captain would rise to lead them, and well, I would be subject to the pleasure of my captors, and I think I could foretell their pleasure. You see, I have been at revaluing myself in the last few days. I may have some value to historians because I have destroyed a few things. The builder of your cathedral is forgotten even now, but I who burned it may be remembered for 100 years or so, and that may mean something or other about mankind." "But what is there about me that is worth all this gold?" she insisted. "Is it my arms, do you suppose? My hair? Or is it that I am the embodiment of my husband's vanity?" "I do not know," said Henry. "With the revaluation of myself, the whole economic system of emotions and persons has changed. Today, were I to demand a ransom, perhaps you would not be flattered." "Do you so hate me, Captain Morgan?" "No, I do not hate you. But you are one of the stars of my firmament, which has proven to be a meteor." "That is not gallant, sir. That is quite different from your speech of a few days past," she observed spitefully. "No, it is not gallant. I think that hereafter I shall be gallant for 2 reasons only: money and advancement. I try to be gallant for the pure joyous looks of things. You see, I was honest with myself before, and I am honest with myself now. These 2 honesties are antithetical. You are bitter. No, I am not even bitter. The food that bitterness feeds on is gone out of me. I am going now," she said softly and wistfully. "Have you nothing more to say to me about myself? Nothing more to ask of me?" "Nothing," he answered, and immediately went to piling the coins again. The messenger entered from the street. He had drunk deeply, for the removed burden of his mission had made him joyous. He bowed to Isobel and to Henry Morgan, bowed warily with an eye to his balance. "We must go, Signor," he announced loudly. "The way is long." He led Isobel to the white mare and helped her into the saddle. Then, at his signal, the column moved off down the street. Isobel looked back once as they started, and it seemed that she had taken a mood from Henry Morgan, for there was a puzzled smile on her lips. But then she bent her head over the mare's neck. She was intently studying the mare's white mane. The messenger had remained standing at Henry's side in the doorway. Together they watched the fluid line of riders swing away while the sunlight glinted on the soldier's armor. In the center of the troop, the white mare seemed a pearl in a setting of silver. The messenger put his hand on Henry's shoulder. "We know how to understand each other, we men of responsibilities," he said drunkenly. "It is not as though we were children to have secrets. We are men, brave men, and strong. We may confide in each other. You may tell me the thing nearest your heart if you wish, Signor." Henry shook the hand from his shoulder. "I have nothing to tell you," he said brusquely. "Ah, but then I will tell you something. Perhaps you wondered why the husband of this woman was willing to pay such a vast sum for her. She is only a woman, you say. There are many women to be had more cheaply, some for a real or 2. Her husband is a fool, you say. But I would not have you think that of my master. He is no fool. I will tell you how it is. Her grandfather still lives, and he is the owner of 10 silver mines and 50 leagues of fertile land in Peru. Doña Isobel is the heiress. Now, if she were killed or carried off. But you understand, Signor. Poof! The fortune into the king's arms. He laughed at the cleverness of his reasoning. We understand each other, Signor. We have tough skulls. not the soft heads of chickens. 20,000, it is nothing to be reckoned against 10 silver mines. Ah, yes, we understand each other, we men of responsibilities. He clambered into his saddle and rode away, still laughing. Henry Morgan saw him join the undulating cavalcade, and now there was a ruby with the pearl in the silver setting. Captain Morgan went back to the treasure. He sat on the floor and took the coins into his hands. The most human of all human traits is inconsistency, he thought. It is a shock to learn this thing, almost as great a shock to a man as the realization of his humanity. And why must we learn that last? In all the mad incongruity, the turgid stultiloquy of life, I felt, at least, securely anchored to myself. Whatever the vacillations of other people, I thought myself terrifically constant. But now here I am, dragging a frayed line, and my anchor gone. I do not know whether the rope was cut or merely worn away, but my anchor is gone, and I am sailing around and around an island in which there is no iron. He let the gold pieces slip through his fingers. But perhaps here is my iron for the making of a new anchor, he thought. This is hard and heavy. Its value may fluctuate somewhat in the economic currents, but at least it has a purpose, and only one purpose. It is an absolute assurance of security. Yes, perhaps this is the one true anchor, the one thing a man may be utterly sure of. Its claws hook tightly to comfort and security. Strangely, I have a craving for them both. But other men have a share in this gold, part of his brain argued. No, my dear conscience, we have an end of acting now. I have put on new glasses. Rather, they have been locked about my head, and I must order my life in accordance with the world I see through these new lenses. I see that honesty, public honesty, may be a ladder to a higher, more valuable crime. A veracity, a means to more subtle dissimulation. No, these men have no rights they can enforce. These men were too free with the rights of others to deserve consideration. He stumbled happily on the thought. They steal, and so shall their plunder be stolen. But I said I was finished with evasions and conscience drugging. What have I to do with right now, or reason, or logic, or conscience? I want this money. I want security and comfort, and I have the power between my hands to take both. It may not be the ideal of youth, but I think it has been the world's practice from the beginning. Luckily, perhaps, the world is not operated by youth. And besides, he said, these fools of men do not deserve any of it. They would be throwing it away in the brothels when we came home again. End of Chapter 4, Section 7.